Swagat sir to please share the screen. Thank you so much.
Thanks for everybody. I am leaving now. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Already, yeah. It's really very.
So the topic is LOL, when memes mirror misogyny. Now I'm sure most of my audience here is almost knowing the word meme and how we when we scroll Instagram reels, most of the time we see what kind of memes are absolutely highlighting or degrading, I would say, the objectification of women and how they are taking it ahead. Now, there are two things that motivated us for this creative presentation that we are going to start. First, we are going to start with a short term certification course on human rights very soon from School of Law in December, most likely. So we thought that why not, and why not on these kind of topics which are absolutely, yeah, on the go, and people are not much talking about it. Rather, they're not even recognizing how humor can actually reinforcing harm. So this is one motivation, and over a period of time when we did some more research, we thought of taking to write a research paper on this. So these were the two motivations we thought of presenting this today in this platform. Requesting sir to take me to the next slide. So these are some of the most common sexist tropes in memes. I'm sure all of you might have come across even this particular picture. What does this picture say? It plays on the cliche of constant demands of domestic nagging. The cliche here is of constant demands or domestic nagging, which is the most common sexist stereotype generally used as memes in popular media, particularly to portray women, especially wives or girlfriends, as overly demanding or controlling or persistently complaining. Now, coming to the next one, the gold digger trope, generalizing, reoccurring gendered stereotype that paints women as marrying or dating men primarily for money or property or social status. It is especially widespread in Indian social media, where memes and jokes often reinforce classist and misogynist ideas about women's motives in relationships. The next one, a very common trope again that dismisses or mocks unmarried women, suggesting that they are inherently unhappy or maybe bitter or arrogant or incomplete without a man or marriage. Over 68,000 single women starve to death every year. This is what this portrays. Mocks or such kind of examples here on the screen showcases that laws that protect women from harassment or abuse at work are also often ridiculed, often implies women misuse such laws to punish men they dislike. So this gains attention or power, and it also avoids professional accountability. This is a classic spoiled modern Indian women, a deeply gendered and culturally loaded narrative seen frequently across Indian social media. Sanskari versus modern woman. And likewise, there are many others. For example, the anti me backlash, a very common meme based reaction that attempts to undermine, mock, or discredit the Me Too movement and the women who have spoken up through it. The last one, a common meme based reaction that attempts to talk about something which is absolutely bold, smart, and politically charged. So now it's so obvious that memes may actually seem harmless, but they reinforce harmful gendered stereotypes. In the digital age, these jokes shape perceptions, normalize sexism, and often ridicule legal and feminist advancements. Research shows that 68% of misogynist memes are implicit. And also, online misogyny targeting female leaders is 27% higher than that for male counterparts, says Amnesty International, which was researched in 2022. Now, they have become very powerful forms of digital communication. They are quick, they are humorous, they are widely shareable. But beneath the surface of many viral jokes, as such, lies something more troubling. These memes are normalizing misogyny. When memes reduce women to stereotypes like gold diggers or nagging wives or fake feminists, they don't just reflect societal bias, they reinforce it. So sometimes people laugh at these images, but then what we really do is we often absorb and spread the very gender inequalities we claim to be moving past. So, requesting Swagat sir to please take the next slides ahead.
I must thank Professor Vibhuti Patel and everybody else at IMPRI for giving us this opportunity. Moving on to the next slides, what I'll be talking about is legal protections versus meme culture. What we are trying to say here is not what are the existing legal protections against meme culture, but how meme culture attacks the legal protections and the legal structures that exist in India. Now, we have found out through preliminary research that most of the attacks by memes are on three kind of laws or policies. First, POSH Act is attacked by trolls a lot. Equal pay policy is attacked. And the third favorite is Section 498A. Now, we'll look at, there are lots of memes, but we'll look at some of the memes. One of this is against any kind of act which prevents sexual harassment at workplace. This is against equal pay, very problematic, and this is against 498A. The question then becomes, how do we regulate this? Do we make laws stricter? We create specific laws against memes. Now, the problem by going ahead with these measures is that there is always an ongoing debate between free speech and restrictions. What is the perimeter of free speech and to what extent there can be restrictions? And we often see that any restriction on free speech is by the state to control the powerless. So if we have any kind of restrictions in the name of protecting women against these kind of trolls and memes, ultimately what it will lead to is to stifle free speech. So that becomes a problem, and we seek to address this through the paper that we are seeking to publish. Our initial position is that rather than having any more restrictive laws, we should take the approach of advocacy and use those platforms like Instagram, like memes, to counter these narratives rather than having any strict laws against them. That's it from our side. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, we'll be very happy to take them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mitashri and Professor Swagat, for very analytically robust and foolproof way of presentation. Especially, I liked your last last slide where you are talking about the way ahead. We must learn from the experiences of the industrialized country where during 60s and 70s, there was such a like mushrooming of pornographic literature. I know when I was even in 90s, when I was there, most of the stalls and every petrol pump would have pornographic magazines and all. And now people have changed because of advocacy, because of gender sensitization in schools and early childhood education. There is no demand for it. Even Playboy had to close down, no, which was once upon a time such a big this thing, no, that had to close down. Because so that is the best way of changing the mindset of people. That is most important. Even when it comes to the pornography, if people don't watch it, But sometimes, like, we have to take immediate measure. For example, when I was in WDC of women of Bombay University Women Development Cell, Bombay University was one of the first to implement Vishaka directive, no, immediately way back in 2020, Senate had passed. We, whether you at computers were just introduced, so whether in computer lab or in training, because MSCIT was compulsory for all the non-teaching staff to learn. Without that degree, they would not, they would just ease you out, no, because it computer. And most of the women, when they tried to switch on the computer, they would see pornographic image, no, and as a screensaver. Or so many email, so they started receiving emails with pornography, and I told the vice chancellor, because I was inundated by the complaints from women, and the male men would say that women are technophobe, and that's why they are not entering computer lab. But actually, when I investigated, this was the reason why women were not entering computer lab. And when I told the vice chancellor, we centrally saw to it that certain words and this thing, they were banned centrally in the Bombay University. So none of the colleges or university campuses would have those pornographic sites. So I think those kind of measures we need to take, because even in schools, so many times the hacking takes place and children we have seen during pandemic also, so many Zoom bombing used to take place without horrible images. People, initially teachers would get scared, students would get scared, people would immediately log out. But we had to take measures at our level in the micro reality. So I think both the things, at the state clamping down, as you said, is not going to work. But at the same time, when we are in our ecosystem, we just can't be the silent spectator and allow damage to happen. So I think that's the way we have to balance it, and at the same time continue our advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so
Absolutely
much,
agree
ma'am.
with you.
Thank you so much.
Even National Commission for Women, State Commission for Women, they made it compulsory during pandemic to give digital literacy to this thing, how to deal with the cyber crime and how to deal with the cyber stalking. No, I was also conducting so many training programs on behalf of National Commission and as well as state commissions, where you would have a participants like 800,000, 1,200 children from all. So it was a compulsory for all the children in the schools and colleges to attend that online. Yeah.
Thank you for your insights, ma'am. And next, I would like to call Miss Ekta Arora ji for her presentation.
Yes, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is in working mode. You can make it slideshow.
Good afternoon, professors, guests, and fellows. My presentation will be on evaluating the healthcare access for trans women and gender fluid AFAB individuals within India's cisgender healthcare and policy framework. Just to quickly define the terms for everyone, the term transgender is used to describe individuals whose innate sense of their gender and expression is not in alignment with the sociocultural expectations emerging from the gender assigned to them at birth. And AFAB is an acronym used for which means assigned female at birth. It describes individuals who are assigned female at birth based on certain characteristics of their bodies at birth. Now, understanding the health concerns firstly, while the discrimination against transgender and AFAB individuals is prevalent in almost all facets of their lives, it is especially pronounced in the medical field. Organizations and medical professionals often lack awareness as well as inclusivity. Transgender people require specialized healthcare services in addition to their regular health examinations. For example, many people seek gender affirming procedures to feel more at ease in their bodies. Transgender people are also more likely to contract HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases because of the frequency of sex work. There is also a higher prevalence of mental health disorders. transgender people face higher rates of discrimination and violence, which has also been found to increase the risk of substance abuse and suicide. Um, Regular health, apart from all of this, regular health examinations have also become a hassle since institutions are not often equipped or knowledgeable about their unique health needs and may not provide culturally competent care. Now, the difficulties in accessing care. First of all, medical institutions often segregate spaces such as restrooms, queues, registration forms based on binaries of men and women, which do not easily accommodate people who do not fit into those traditional gender norms. The recent digitization of these registration forms has made the process slightly harder for them because then transgender people, they do not have anybody to complain to about not fitting in or about wanting certain other demands. Um, the trans women especially have also reported facing sexual harassment by the medical staff. A report of the 2015 National Trans Survey clearly states that more than 33% of transgender individuals report at least one incident of harassment by a healthcare provider. Um, with regard to the gender affirming procedures, many people find it difficult to access these procedures because of their high cost. Even the doctors who specialize in sex reassignment surgery are sparse in the country, and they are usually found in private hospitals where the cost ranges from anywhere between 2 to 8 lakhs, depending on the procedure. Um, Additionally, the lack of insurance coverage for these procedure limits access for many individuals. Um, then looking at the cisnormative medical education, um, the problem is not only with individual medical practitioners, it starts with the curricula they are taught. Training programs, medical curricula often do not include transgender bodies and health. um, they are not sensitized or educated on their health needs, on pronouns, on any of those other stuff. When treating transgender women, medical personnel disregard the gender sensitive practices which are offered to cisgender women. The presence of female nurses will sometimes not be accounted for. This lack of education and sensitivity often leads to misdiagnosis, inadequate treatment, and overall poor healthcare experiences, because of which a lot of trans people also choose to first try home remedies or rely on their gharana systems for healthcare needs. Uh, and other government policies which have addressed trans healthcare. First of all, of course, the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019, which initially meant to safeguard the rights of transgender individuals. However, it has garnered significant criticism since its implementation, especially its provision for the certificate of identity or the transgender identity card. Under this, trans people are required to submit an application to their district magistrate, who will then issue a certificate of identity. Um, Critics of this act contend that it undermines the principle of self-identification, which were advanced by its predecessor, which was the NASA judgment. Um, Regarding other medical benefits, which this which this act extends, like revising the medical curriculum or including provisions for gender affirming surgeries in more hospitals. All of these remain severely under implemented. Another government policy that I want to talk about is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana (PMJ), which comes under the Ayushman Bharat. It is the largest health assurance scheme which aims at providing a health cover of rupees 5 lakh per family. Um, it uh, I, eh, it also stated that this scheme would cover transgender people, assisting with the cost of gender affirming procedures. However, the problem with the certificate of identity poses a significant barrier to accessing the benefits of this insurance scheme. Um, Regarding the certificate of identity, the latest digitization and websites have also been have also been inadequate. They have they have not worked properly for a lot of people. That causes a significant problem for people as well. Then within PMJ, the budgetary allocation for trans people is extremely disproportionate. And despite this small appropriation, much of the funds earmarked for their assistant go unused. Between 2021 and 24, just roughly 11% of the allocated funds were used. Thank you. That's it.
Slide where you have used word transgender. It should not be used alone. It is insulting. You should call them transgender persons. The way we can't call tribals, just tribals is insulting. It has to be tribal person, tribal community, or Adivasi, which is our term. Similarly, in transgender persons, you should use that. Second one is the question of social isolation, because when you talk about the mental health issue, it is mainly because of the social isolation from the every mainstream activity, whether it is education or community life or family life. In fact, that you see the recent report based on public hearing, अपनों की बहुत लगती है, means when your own family members torture you and discriminate against you and stigmatize you, then you feel really hurt. So that report is also very this, because so many even families have give up their responsibility of attending to their health needs, no, and they are abandoned. They have to lead their life on, right? So that aspect also needs to come. Secondly, at subnational level, some states have come up with the special board. So I think you should mention that, especially Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Assam, where the boards are formed, established, census is being done, and gender responsive budgeting includes the budgetary allocation for the developmental needs of transgender community. So I think that also, because that gives us ray of hope, and you can also critique the inadequacy of funds for Garima Griha. So that also state initiative that needs to be, it's not only law, but also the schemes and programs in the union budget as well as the some of the budgets of the state governments. Yeah, that would make it complete. Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you
are
very
you aware
much.
of the report at UCL?
I'm sorry?
Are you aware of the report of the public hearing?
No.
I'll just share it on chat box. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go
Thank you
ahead.
very much.
Okay. But it's very comprehensive. Your work is really good.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Ekta Arora ji, for presenting. Now, I would like to request Ayushi Shah ji to present next.
She cannot join the meeting. She actually has an emergency. She also messaged me regarding the same. So she got a family emergency. So I'm not sure if she sent the video yet, but yes.
No worries. Next, we'll have Rachel Grace ji to present.
Hello, everybody. Can you see my video? Yeah. So, good evening, everyone, dear fellows and Vibhuti ma'am. I'm so grateful to be here to present my research topic that I've been working for the past month. So, I would like to present my research work that I've done so far in the form of a documentary. It is only a 3-minute documentary, but before we watch the documentary, I'd like to give you a very short overview through a few slides that I've made. These slides will briefly introduce the topic of my research, that is Singareni Collieries Company Limited, SECL, and explain the research approach I used, list the key points I covered and in the documentary, and share the main references. So this will help set the context so you can better understand the stories and issues presented in the film documentary. So after this quick preview, we will move on to watching the documentary itself. So I will be going ahead with sharing the PPT. Are you able to see my screen? Ma'am?
Yeah.
Are you able
We
to
are
see?
able to.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. So I chose the topic mining industry, the broader aspect with the case. This is the research topic of my research: the expanding footprint of Singareni collieries, displacement, environmental justice, community rights, and legal frames, with a case study of Sattupalli town, which is located in Telangana state. So the introduction, basically the SECL is jointly owned by the state of Telangana and the Union of India and established in 1920. It is an open cast mining area, um, and the research methodology I used for this is mostly primary data collection. So I've conducted interviews with residents. I went to the mining site area and to their families, and I made direct observations in affected villages and the resettlement colonies. And for my secondary data, I used news reports and available documents that support the my research area. So moving on, these are the points covered. I won't take much time explaining these because these are already in the video documentary, and these are the references. So I will now share the documentary. Ma'am, can you see this?
Yeah.
I hope the audio will also be shared.
We can actually only see the PowerPoint. The video.
Pardon, ma'am?
We can actually only see the PowerPoint presentation, not your documentary video.
Oh, okay. Just a second. Let me stop sharing and I'll come back. Share. Oh, sorry. Sorry for that.
In Rejula, a village shadowed by the Singareni coal fields you see now, near Sattupalli. This is a place where every day we see two sides to the same coin, tales of economic progress set against stories of loss. As witnesses, our lived experiences reveal truths you won't find in official reports. Every day around 10 or 11 a.m. and again at 3 p.m., controlled explosions in the coal field shake our homes. Over 1,200 out of 2,800 houses nearby have cracked or collapsed. In 5 villages, more than 5,000 families endure these blasts, with many suffering anxiety and health problems. The tremors are a relentless reminder that the mines are always close. Coal trucks and giant machines barrel down the same roads where our children walk. Accidents happen often, and the air is tense. The risks are real every time someone leaves the house. Dust, relentless noise, and tainted water reach every corner of life. SCCL was fined over 41 crore for unsafe blasting and unchecked pollution. Yet, illnesses and withering trees persist. It's a burden the community carries in silence. Vast forests were cleared for the mines, and in their place, wild animals, monkeys, boars, deer, now wander our streets. Sometimes they're hunted, sometimes they're feared, but always there's a reminder that the land is no longer the same. Mining expansion erases community roads. New detours are temporary, isolating us and adding miles to daily routines. Some routes might soon disappear altogether. A new coal railway splits our remaining farmland. For the company, it means efficiency. For us, another cut through the fields we depend on. We live with the knowledge that there's coal under our very homes. SCCL's notification stirred dread. 20,000 people across 200 villages have already been uprooted, and our turn may be next. When the village Kompally was moved, Singareni urged people to buy land in their resettlement site. Some families, often with larger plots or solid houses, got enough compensation to rebuild. Many others, especially those in humble huts or on tiny plots, were left in poverty. losing land, livelihood, and even hope. But step inside the Singareni employee quarters in Satpalli and you find well built homes and decent amenities for families of staff. Some speak of security and improved living conditions, but quietly admit to the invisible risks and insecurities they face daily underground for wages that often don't meet the cost of living. And outside, the contract workers who work in the same compound to keep it clean share a different story. They say, of course, life changed for the better. We'd never have earned this much working on someone else's field for a daily wage, one tells me. Mining jobs provide income they could never dream of before, yet, even here, there is unease, a sense of precariousness, and questions about what is gained, what's lost, and who gets to decide. Through it all, from daily quakes to displacement and divided futures, two stories run parallel here in Satpalli. Wealth for some, hardship for others. Economic development always has its price, and as witnesses living through it, we hope our stories leads to a future with both justice and dignity for.
I hope you heard the audio too.
Yeah, you could hear. It's a very, very powerful social cost benefit analysis, the environmental cost, cost to the people's livelihood, quality of life, occupational health, and I think underground mining. I think that part is still, but we have read so many reports of what all happens because right from the time of 1931 Royal Commission of Labor and some of the reports in Frontline and Week and so many features which are there about what's happening to the workers. I think that is there. If possible, yeah, you can even mention it. You may not be able to shoot because you will not be allowed to go, but at least you can use the collage. You can use the collage of these reports which are there in newspapers and journals. No? With the photographs and all. Yeah, they are there. So that you can use the collage wherever you are not able to access it. That would make it complete, the story. Because otherwise, only the occupational health and safety of the workers, that always get left out. Even when Narmada Bachao Andolan took place, Medata initially focused on what happened to flora, fauna, forest, people who faced displacement. But at the same time, there were also thousands of workers working uh, as a contract workers, and their bodies were flown there. They also worked under extremely hazardous condition. Most of them were migrant workers, not integrated in the local community. So I think that aspect you can bring out from the reports which are there with photographs.
Yes.
You will get it very easy. Yeah, thank you. But very good
Thank
work.
you.
Really
Thank
good. Very even perspective in terms of perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Rachel ji, for your presentation. Next, I would like to call Ms. Tanya Keshwarni ji. Tanya ji.
I have shared the report of the public hearing in the chat box. Ekta ji, you can download it. The very exhaustive list of references also.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, I will just take a while.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Really sorry for the inconvenience. There was some glitch in the laptop.
Can we go to the next? By then, Tanyaji will be ready. Yeah.
So by the time Tanaji gets her laptop sorted, we can move on and have Mr. Siddharth Patraji to start his presentation. Your mic's muted.
Good evening. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'll just share my screen now. Just ma'am, is my PPT visible now?
Or double click to enter full screen mode. Yeah. Subfusion digital elements.
Ma'am, is this better now?
It's in working mode. You can make it a slideshow.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
If not, then go ahead.
Yeah. Ma'am, is it visible now?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, ma'am, I have created my research project on reclaiming the ballot, a women inclusive digital democracy. I haven't yet completed my research findings on this yet, but I have explained some of the essentials that I shall be including in my research project. The topic essentially explores the critical intersection of women empowerment in a potential digital democracy. And since we have had 2024 elections quite recently, it is very much important to understand what role women participants, maybe in the form of voters, in the form of political representatives, are going to have on the 2029 elections. Because it's not very far from now. And if we imagine the kind of rapid technological upgradations that are taking place, it becomes very imperative to understand how women will be influenced by the digital forces and how this is going to contribute to the next elections. Is this visible now? The Indian electoral landscape.
Yes.
I would just like to explain the paradox of women in parliamentary representation. I'm sure that most of my fellows here present would not agree when I say that, women are equitably represented. There is a very strong paradox that exists between women representation and women voter turnouts. I'll also show the slides where I'll have, also brought out charts regarding the paradox. But let us first consider a very small marginal data. Over 312 million Indian women have cast their ballots in the 2024 election. However, they hold only 14% of parliamentary seats. So this 312 million is equated to a mere 14% of parliamentary representation when it comes to a very robust democracy such as India. And this is due to entrenched barriers like party biases, campaign finance, roadblocks, deep-rooted patriarchy, and even the forces of digital networks and technologies that are nowadays used quite frequently. I'm sure most of you would have also been accustomed to those automated AI calls that used to be, quite frequent in 2024. I used to personally receive at least 3 or 4 calls a day by national parties, regional parties, and they used to send those automated AI calls. So these calls are also quite disruptive when it comes to electoral distortions. So it's very imperative to understand the same in the context of this paradox, where women will have to face these challenges, face these consequences, and the ramifications that follow as a result of such ethical challenges. I'll just proceed to the next slide. This is the disappearing gender gap in voter turnout. As you can see, from the year 1980 till the year about 2019, you are able to see that male and female voter turnouts are coming on a parallel. They're rivaling with each other. But still then, the parliamentary representation, I haven't yet attached any such figures which indicate the local self-governance models. But even if you see just the parliamentary representation, the voter turnouts have equaled. However, in the next slide, the Lok Sabha representation still remains quite inadequate. From a 4.41% in the year 1952 in the first Lok Sabha elections to a mere 13.63% in the 18th Lok Sabha elections. Now, this explains the paradox that exists right now. So what are we entering into? Through all of these understanding, what do we gain? basically, as we are nearing towards the 2029 elections, and we are going to see a more digitally equipped form of democracy and also a much more challenging electoral period, it becomes very imperative to understand the AI electoral battlefield. And this is what I shall be emphasizing upon. The 2024 election cycle, as I said, was full of automated AI calls, voter data harvesting, voice cloning technology, and AI driven manifesto communication. All of these are factors and metrics which are going to influence even the further elections. So, how can women be influenced by this is going to be the next thing. It is going to erode trust and credibility. It is going to fuel further harassment. I'm sure that many of you are acquainted with deepfakes and online violence already, as it was rightly pointed out in one of the slides that about the Me Too movement and the backfire and the backlash that was faced by women who were participating in that movement is one of such examples which I would like to cite as well. And all of these issues are going to further exacerbate the representation levels at the parliamentary level. So what do we do about this? Because there are, again, of course, a pervasive threat of synthetic content where AI, deepfakes, manipulated audio, and fabricated text are being used. What do we do about this? We need robust regulation. We need public awareness. We need technological solutions and also collaborative efforts in order to counter these. When it comes to the models for legal recourse, I'll just conclude almost I'm ending it. When it comes to models for legal recourse, we see the Australian Online Safety Act, the UK's Online Safety Act, and also the China Deep Synthesis provisions. These are certain models that India can borrow in its legislations because despite the enactments of the IT Act, despite the enactment of the DPDP Act, we are still unable to redress the complaints, the grievances, and the heartfelt requests of the women who are participating in electoral disputes, who are participating in electoral fights. And despite, as Vibhuti ma'am has often cited, despite the winnability in elections, due to these harassments, due to these mafia politics and various other reasons, and potentially digital reasons for the same as well, we are going to lose out in women representatives. Therefore, it becomes much important to understand and scrutinize this issue well. And for this reason, I have been able to propose certain enhancements for women's participation. The first point that we could look towards is to ban AI-generated deepfakes. The second one would be mandatory watermarking so that all AI-generated political content can be regulated well. There should be algorithmic accountability. There should be digital media literacy. And all of these solutions would eventually foster a much more nuanced and equitable landscape for women to operate in public life. Now, I would just like to conclude with the last approach that I have found, and it is by Martha Nussbaum's capabilities approach. This is a certain approach which redefines political engagement in the 21st century. And if we just look at three capabilities that she has very well elucidated in her approach, the first one is affiliation. Women should be able to affiliate themselves in political institutions, in governance frameworks, and be able to have that kind of space in which they can operate despite the deepfakes and the online violence which is taking place. The second point would be the practical reason. And the third point would be control over one's environment. These are just the 3 points that I like to keep. And these are very essential to form the digital democracy that is going to take place in the future. I'll just conclude now. Just to conclude, I would like to share that securing an inclusive future is very important. And for this, we need to reclaim the ballot. We need to ensure that our collective forces are able to ensure a much prosperous digital democracy. And we are able to have women work in public life in a much more safer and much more digitally equipped landscape. Thank you so much.
It's a very important topic, and I think we are going to face a lot of difficulties because we are not equipped. Even in the training programs for women who are aspiring to contest election, there is no such module so far, whether they are the women who have experienced Panchayati Raj institutions power for 6 rounds and all. They are now thinking that by 2029, they will be contesting election in Legislative Assembly, Legislative Council, and parliamentary elections. So I think there also this should be included in the syllabus. That means all administrative staff colleges of the state government and union territories will have to give them hands-on understanding and also demonstrate how to deal with it. That is one. But I think you should also include what are the limitations of IT Act and also the deep fake, this thing, so far only the film industry has, and people, creative people, such as musician and directors or film producers, they have taken initiative in bringing culprits to book. But from the political personalities, one has not seen such initiative. No? So you can also, both the act we have about that, how to increase the literacy about this act, so that, and how to knowing the modalities of using this act, that is also very important, because civil society or the citizen may think that it is very, very difficult to bring to approach the legal system so far as digital technology is concerned. Because I know, so most of the people who are uploading their complaints, it is not even acknowledged. Most of the time that portal doesn't work. Even when my account was hacked through Telegram or something, someone created, I made complaint, nobody responded. And these are the complaints of most of the youth and people who are doing it. So I think how to use this acts and how to strengthen the implementation part of it, I think you should focus on that also. Both for deepfake as well as all digital technologies per se. Yeah.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, in my research, I'm
very
thank you so much,
futuristic
ma'am.
also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, in my research, I'm also trying to include all those elements so that they can be placed in a very, we could include regulatory, the legal landscape, and also, try and refine it in a manner that can make it much safer for equitable participation. So I'm also trying to do that
Some
side
of
of
the
things.
successful examples also, if there
Yes,
are,
ma'am.
like
Definitely.
they have approached the legal system and managed to get justice, because that would empower others to uh, come out and take action.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so
Because
much.
here, that is the only place where culprits are not visible. That is a major deterrent factor, because everywhere you know who is the culprit and you can name or shame or give them file FIR against them. While here, the anonymity of the culprit, I think that becomes very difficult, and how to trace them.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Siddharthi. Next, I would like to call Padisha Kadervilo for her presentation.
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yeah. Screen is not visible. You are visible.
Oh, just a second, ma'am. Is it visible now, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, ma'am. My topic is about analyzing the role of political awareness in women and how it is going to impact the uh, implications of the Women's Reservation Act and how the future politics of women getting a place in the legislative is going to roll out. And for that, I conducted a small fieldwork wherein through an online survey, I interviewed 50 respondents, and the findings of the survey has been attached in the following slides. And I've also added my creative project, which is poetry, in the PPT. So the main reason why I took up this topic is that I'm a student of political science, and even before I entered the discipline, when I used to discuss politics at home with my friends or extended family, one question that I always faced was, okay, why do you need to discuss politics as a common woman, and especially more than a common citizen? One question that I was faced with was, why do you have to discuss politics in this situation? Like, what is it going to do for you? And ultimately, the thought came from the view that politics is something that needs to be viewed as something dirty or something that is not related with the common citizen. But in contrast, I believe that politics is something that shapes each and every single aspect of our life. And looking forward, I also saw that in Puducherry, out of the 30 constituencies for legislative assembly, there is only one female MLA in all those constituencies. So to understand this trend and how my surrounding is affecting that trend, I chose this topic. So let me share the findings of the survey. And before that, yes, we all know that the materialization of the Women's Reservation Act is very complex and there are so many challenges to it. And I identified the political literacy among women as one of the main challenge to implement this Women's Reservation Act. And because only when women are aware of what they are, what their basic rights are, they cannot step up and question because there's this one thing that often keeps them tied down that, okay, so you don't know anything, you don't know anything. That is something that I often heard in my surroundings. So this is why I feel that political literacy has more to do with implementing the Women's Reservation Act. And in that survey, out of the 50 responses, women seem to follow the political events and the news that comes out very frequently. Like 34% follow it daily, and 28 to 26% follow it weekly or occasionally. And then when I looked at what are the sources from which they learn about politics, uh, they said various sources, and in that I identified social media as one predominant source. And this also comes to a point that social media still needs a lot of improvement for dealing with politics because we can see rampant misinformation. And with regards to women in politics, we often see that there is a more personal attack that is being made on women and female representatives in politics. And social media is not regulated enough to handle all those trolls or the harsh comments. So when women consume media from this, it also affects their view on what politics is. And when there was a major change in the recent cabinet, in Puducherry's cabinet, and there was a whole confusion around who's in what position and all. And surprisingly, only 34% of my survey's respondents identified that they are aware of this issue, and 66% were it. But in the previous slide, we would have noted that people follow politics regularly. Now, this is also a matter of concern because unless we know what is happening immediately around us, looking at the national issues will we can't put the picture together because unless we have a clarity on what is around us, and then because the local politics impact us as much as national politics impact us. So this was a stark trend that I observed. And when asked about whether they are interested in contesting an election, 74% of respondents refused, and 20% of people showed a positive response of maybe, and 6% were very eager to participate in politics. And this was something that I wanted to ask to the respondents themselves. Why do you think that women do not participate more in politics? And one major factor that they told was family responsibilities, and another one was gender-based discrimination. So, when we look at all these reports in papers and everything, they seem to be written from a third-person perspective. So, I wanted to ask the females, the voters, what they actually face, and this was the outcome of that survey. And this question I wanted to put up to them was like how politics is being played at home, like how political discourse happens. And 76% of people said yes, they are discussing politics at home in general, and 34%, pardon, and yes, And 66% of respondents were very positive about their engagement in political discourse at home. But here comes the catch. Uh, Only 50% of families support their female members' interest in politics. This also leads to a very you know deeper insight into what socio-cultural and familial entities have to play in the politics and the political awareness and participation of women. And only 10% of respondents engage in frequent political discourse in other peer groups, colleges, friends, and colleagues, friends, and neighborhood. And this is important because we have always seen public spaces as something dominated by men, and even almost all public spaces are designed for accessibility to men. And one example that I can share is the common tea shop example. I have seen more men in the evenings and early mornings share political discourses, events of a national and international importance over a cup of tea, whereas the women of my surroundings, I have not seen them in such casual, leisurely discourses of politics. So politics also is also shared through all these informal discussions as much as we take from formal sources. And when women do not engage themselves in such discourses, and more than that, when they do not have the access to such spaces, it really plays a diminishing role in their engagement in popular politics. And this is the poetry that I've written for it. I wrote it in a freestyle, and let me just read it quickly. Good for her, they said. She can vote now on par with men, declared the newly formed nation. The first parliament saw 22 women, a mere 4.4%. Not good, but not bad for the nascent nation yet to reconstruct itself from years of colonial ruins. The frame is paused in 1952. Opening the frame in 21st century, it is it is. One would wonder gender discrimination is long gone, a thing of the past. Sadly, even the parliament and assemblies weren't spared. 2024 Lok Sabha hosts 74 women, a meager 14% of the whole strength. The lawmakers are supposed to represent the masses, but what a sorry state it is to see 50% of the population shunned into silence, not by force, but slowly and steadily by a silly, insecure system. It took us 77 long years to realize women have a voice and that they deserve at least a third of seats. Laws were made and stage was set. But will it reap success? Will it actually voice them? Is an apprehension shared by the women folk. Years together, a systemic conditioning did more than enough to keep women away from every source of power that exists. Dictates and moral standards function differently for different genders, different yardsticks, and different lengths. Being apolitical is a choice, they said, but not for the women around me, I observed. The busy bees had to run around all day, take up different roles daughters, wives, and mothers, sisters, professionals, and students. And the most important role, an ideal woman, one who does not question, one who does not demand. The pattern went on to inspire centuries of women who chose silence, chose shadows. But a problem was already rotting the society gendered public spaces and lack of agency. A place where common politics stood was forbidden to her. Nasty, dangerous, and pathetic was how politics was introduced to her, not as something she ought to learn to survive, not the way it was introduced to her brothers and sons, I could tell. They taught her to aspire for more, as long as the more was just basic human life. The more she tried to emerge out of the spiral, the further she was pushed deeper. A pattern emerged, I was able to see. Basic political awareness, a key to holding an opinion, prerequisite for entering politics, was where women lacked. She was unaware of the laws made for her. She was unaware of the voice she has, the power it holds. The agency to decide her fate was taken away from her, not by force, not by law, but by a silly, insecure system. When asked, women around me were oblivious about the harm it did for them. That's when I realized we need to study the pattern. observe where it hits the nerve, where it lets loose, where it anchors the biased view. Women need equal voice, shouted a party. Women are the pillars of society, boasted another. Women need autonomy, demanded another. Fancy words here and there, all declarations painted in similar shades of liberation. Everyone agreed women need representation. I wondered who else was the problem. But the day party tickets were announced, the bright hues of all parties were stripped. No one really cared to give her a chance. We need change, we need representation, and for that, we need agency. And for that, we need awareness. And for that, we need political education for the women of the nation. Not just limited to affirmative action, not just limited to tokenism and namesake positions, but a qualitative change in the right direction. One that truly hears her, not, on, not one that allows her to speak. Thank you.
These are extremely powerful. About your analysis, I think you need to differentiate between electoral politics and the uh, movement politics, because all these women who are not taking part in electoral politics may be active in the local environmental concerns, or at a workplace they are fighting for their rights, or in the community they are fighting, or they are enraged and they fight against custom of dowry. So I think social movement politics and electoral politics. So you should qualify politics, because everything is politics. Wherever there is a power and where there is power struggle, there is politics. So all of us have been politically very aware, and we have been active, like Comrade Amarjit Kaur or myself. We all have taken part in the street politics of bringing so many. So I think that qualification you will have to make about electoral politics in your analysis. Verses are fine. Second one is that like any sociological or any social science literature, we generally use women and girls, not female. Female is has a biological connotation, while women and girls have sociological. Mostly you have used, but wherever you have used, even Mr. Patra earlier one, there also wherever you have used female, you use women. That is colloquially, like you can use it, but not in academic literature when you are talking about the social issues. No? So that is this thing. So, but it's a really very good work that you have done. And if your sample is of 50, you can use number. Generally, when your sample is more than that of 100, then you use percentage. So you can even use the number out of 50, how many said what. That is also. But are you going to write essay also, or only verses? Hello, Pratisha.
Yes, ma'am. I will be submitting an essay also.
Essay also. So
And
in
I
that
have to
you can.
conclude my findings yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for your valuable remarks, ma'am. I will definitely add the modifications that you do.
Yeah, that between the social movement politics, or like the politics for the women's rights politics, you can say, and the electoral politics. Women are active and they know what are the problems, and wherever they stick out their neck. I think that's what Majid Kaur's Madam's valedictory address and all the 8 days of those 15 sessions that you have had has shown that there is agency women are exercising. But when it comes to electoral politics, there are so many factors, both from the side of women and from the side of family, community, and political parties. That your analysis is just very good. Yeah, thank you. Hard work, a lot. Later on, you can increase your sample size. Yeah, it's 50. You can make it. Yeah, for your thesis or whatever, 200.
Thank you. Thank you, Pradisha ji. Next, I would just ask Tana ji if the issue has been resolved on her end and if she'll be able to present next.
Sure.
Yes, Tana.
Good evening, Vibhuti ma'am, and my fellow. Can you apologies for the inconvenience? Is my screen visible now?
Yeah. No.
Yes, now it's.
Yeah. Yes.
So my study explores the lived experiences of neurodivergent and disabled women in India, focusing on the barriers they face across healthcare, education, employment, reproductive rights, protection from violence, and social security. Despite the presence of various welfare policies, systematic gaps persist due to the frameworks that overlook intersection identities like gender and disability. The topic is understanding barriers to justice and support for neurodivergent and disabled women. Objectives. The study has three primary objectives. First, to identify systematic and institutional barriers across the domains of life. Second, to explore the lived experience of the neurodivergent and disabled women through intersectional perspective. And third, to generate policy recommendations grounded in the principles of disability justice. Methodology. This is a qualitative study using intersectional feminist theory and disability justice as guiding frameworks. I relied on the narrative analysis, policy document reviews, and thematic coding to map structural barriers. It allowed me capturing nuanced personal experiences while also critically examining systematic patterns. So my key findings, major key findings were in the healthcare, diagnostic overshadowing and inaccessibility are major barriers. In education, the lack of inclusive accommodations coupled with social stigma deeply affect learning environment. Employment spaces are largely inflexible with workplace discrimination and lack of structural support. These barriers are not isolated but mutually reinforcing, affecting women's autonomy, dignity, and socioeconomic participation. Part 2, reproductive rights, violence and safety, and social security. So, in the realm of reproductive rights, disabled women are often denied agency, facing coercion or lack of access to the proper information and services. When it comes to violence and safety, institutional neglect and inadequate support systems make reporting and protection extremely difficult. Social security systems, though intended as safety nets, often become sites of exclusion due to bureaucratic hurdles, surveillance, and conditionalities. Conclusion. In conclusion, the study calls for a shift from single access reforms to intersectional policy frameworks that center the voices of disabled and neurodivergent women. Recommendations include co-creating policies with those most affected, ensuring universal accessibility, and adopting trauma-informed, right-based approaches across all systems. Ultimately, this is a call for transformative policy that moves beyond token inclusion to genuine justice and equity. In the end, I would like to quote Anuruti Roy. There's really no such thing as the voiceless. There are only the deliberately silenced or the preferably unheard. Thank you.
Really powerful presentation and also quite bold also. Only thing you will have to provide rationale for use of term disabled Okay, you'll have to why you have chosen instead of calling them differently able, because there's a big controversy going on in some universities. They call that differently able, while TIS is a Center for Disability Studies. No, so you'll have to provide that rationale in the beginning for the use of term disability. Second one is that the question of self-esteem, personality, how their personality is constructed, because that, as one person said, that I am just treated as a piece of furniture. No decision in the family when they are taken, I am consulted, or I am never party to anything. Just I'm just there in the family. So I think that also within the family also the negligence, as well as not paying not giving, not allowing their agency, which I think Albert Roy also said this thing. And also the question of social isolation, no, that they face, whether they are in school or college or this thing. The other colleagues or classmates, or they don't make them involved in all the activities unless conscious efforts are made. No? So that aspect also you can bring up. So that it is not only the state giving facility of a shelter home or a hostel, or waiving of fees, or providing subsidy in various ways, or we have a special computer lab or a braille book. Along with that, how the people respond, how to sensitize the quote unquote normal students or normal people, no, about
Exactly.
yeah. So that aspect also you can bring up.
Yes, ma'am. I think in the key findings with part one, I did mention about the environment, how the social stigma affect the inactivity of the community. It's mutually
And it's a
reinforcing.
qualitative study, so you can put their words only, so it should be in their own words.
Yeah.
You can
Noted, ma'am.
How many of them you have
Thank you.
interviewed?
Ma'am, till now, 8.
It's quite, yeah, for qualitative study, in-depth interviews, it's very good number. Yeah, you will get a lot of that way powerful statements also from the respondents, and yeah, that's good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Tanya ji. I would like to request you to please stop your screen share so the others can present as well. Thank you. And next, I would ask Gatha Sarvaiya ji to present.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have a presentation. So my research paper's title is about how caste shapes OBC women's access to legal empowerment in India. So for the same, I have prepared a spoken word poetry piece, which I'd like to present. And also I forgot to mention, I'm super grateful for this opportunity. And yes, thank you. I'll just begin. They told me that the law would protect me. Article 15, Article 21, equal protection. Is it truly equitable? I filled the forms, ticked the boxes, stood in lines, and endured the corruption, but my name was already a silence they had learned to disregard. I am an OBC, other backward, they say. But backward in thought are they or I? Is it too hard to say? I am not asking for sympathy, I'm asking for space in offices, in policies, in rights, in respect. They call me certain names Dalit, Bahujan, Achut, Kamwali. We do have names, but we are filed away as data, as decimals, as nothing more. Does anyone even care? The police know my caste too well, but not my complaints, not my pain. They don't want to deal with my case. Too complicated, too common, too inconvenient. The law says equal, caste says otherwise. Policy says inclusion, practice says stay in your place. There are helplines, but no one to answer them. There are rights, but no hands to hold them. I know justice, but not the words to make it law. I know land, but not how to prove it's mine. I know the law exists, but not knowing how to make it listen. Because legal empowerment is not just a right; it is access, it is awareness, it is agency. And all three are denied in quiet, calculated, caste coded ways. But I am done waiting. I will not whisper where I should roar. I will not beg for rights I was born with. I will not disappear into decimals. My name will not be data, it will be declaration. I am not your other. I am the majority you refuse to see. I am not backward. I am held back. And I carry with me a legacy of Pandita Ramabai, who fought for dignity when silence was expected, of Jyotiba Phule, who lit the fire of education for those kept in the dark. They named us backward, but we have always moved history forward. I am done being silent in a country that promised me justice. The law says equal, and now I will make it true. Thank you. So
Extremely powerful, extremely moving. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I also have a small poem by Faiz Ahmad Faiz that I'll also be putting the lyrics and the meaning to in the chat box for everyone. If ma'am you do not mind, I'd like to sing a few lines of that.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. हम देखेंगे हम देखेंगे लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे हम देखेंगे वो दिन के जिसका वादा है जो लौहे अज़ल में लिखा है हम देखेंगे जब जुल्मों से सितम के कोहे गरा रूही की तरह उड़ जाएंगे हम देखेंगे जब जुल्मों से सितम के कोहे गरा रूही की तरह उड़ जाएंगे हम देखेंगे. Thank you so much. Excuse my voice.
Such a melodious voice, very powerful.
Thank you.
After this, nothing needs to be said. It's such a impactful presentation all of you have made.
Thank you so much.
Really very creative, talented, committed, and extremely gender sensitive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Gathaji. Next, we'll have a recorded presentation by Bhairavi Kushwahaji. Priyanka, ma'am.
Hello everyone, my name is Bhairavi Kushwa and I am here to present my PPT on invisible labor, invisible and uncertain futures. So we are
able to see
child labor in brick kilns or construction sites.
Ma'am, are you not able to hear it?
No.
The voice is very low on this video actually.
Yeah.
I'll just play it then for the time being.
Yes. Visibility is good. Yeah.
But sometimes child labor can be a little girl cheerfully carrying firewood, all too familiar and hence ignored. This presentation will unravel the invisible gendered nature of child labor prevailing in rural India post-pandemic, a life where childhood is exchanged for housework and dreams get put on hold before they are even formed. So girls between 10 to 17 years working in rural India worked thrice more compared to boys, but not in the issue of paid jobs, but in kitchens, caregiving and silence. Caregiving and domestic work, according to UNICEF and ASER, are among the most common reasons for school dropouts, especially for girls aged 15 and 16. Awareness about such work is not vented. They do not reckon with labor. They are not tracked, They are not even acknowledged. Therefore, they are not just missing from school but also missing from the statisticians and policymakers, and indeed from the future to which they have a right. In areas like Khagaria district, almost 38% of girls stop schooling. Why? Not because they drop out, but because they vanish into kitchens and caregiving before dawn. Here, Suman, a 14-year-old from Barwani, wakes up at 5 am and goes to fetch water, clean, cook, and look after her siblings before the thought of school even crosses her mind. She says, if I am late, they say I am lazy, but I had to clean the cow shed first. This is the tale of many Sumans, wherein the sacrifice for duty lay their dreams, and under sheets of broom and tiffins lay their education. A recent NCPC report says almost 1 in 5 rural adolescent girls and boys struggle with home learning due to household chores. They are really just in school after battling dirt and dust away from the textbooks. While boys may be allowed to do homework unfettered, girls only manage to open their books after washing dishes or feeding cattle. It is not merely a domestic balance that is in question here, it is a systematic trade off, which is education for exploitation and childhood for convenience. But it doesn't have to remain this way. Early classes just should not be a norm in rural schools. Not all children have nice mornings. Investment must be done for childcare systems for girls to prevent them from going into adult roles too soon. Families should be helped so that their daughters can complete schooling, not just enroll. And everything must go away from enrollment to learning and statistics to realities. Girls do not need charity, they simply need the right to learn with anyone's unreasonable expectations. Now, lastly, let's put to mind that not an ounce of girlhood should be sold to buy a lunchbox. Let us be the voice that counts their dreams and the hands that lift the invisible burdens they carry. Thank you so much.
Very good presentation. I could hear because of the earphone. I think Asar report she has quoted is very important. Latest report is there, and it brings out the issue of unpaid care work and child labor is the cheapest labor because that is why right 19th century capitalism and also the 20th century capitalism in the post-colonial society depended on child labor. We have seen in the post-pandemic period also there is increase in child labor throughout the world because wherever the economy is down, children are always forced into labor. So I think she should also connect it to the macroeconomic policies because that is very important. And this you parents are because that's what people did in Philippines also. The organization Gabriela, they to convince the women farmers or women poor women in the urban places. First thing is that unless their income or their quality of life improves, children will not be liberated. So I think this interconnections has to be shown. And I think that even the generation equality report also talks about it, but it's a good analysis. But she should bring in the macro policy, the last stage where she's giving the recommendation. So I think the social sector budgetary allocation, gender responsive budgeting, child protection services, which are there. For that also, the budgetary allocation should increase so that state can. Why Andhra Pradesh could liberate children because they have provided the support system for those who were brought out of bonded labor. Many children did not even want to go to their families. It was the state which looked after that. So those kind of services also will have to be increased. No? Even child sex workers, most of them don't want to go to their families. And then it is the responsibility of the state to see to it that they rebuild their life. And some states have done it. Maharashtra did it. So it is possible. We have resources. The question is of political.
Thank
That
you.
can be communicated. So connect your child plight of child labor and unpaid work with macro policies also, gender responsive budgeting, which is a game changer.
Thank you for your insights, ma'am, and I hope Viji also finds these insights very commendable. Next, we have a recorded presentation from Antara Gupta ji.
Everyone, today I'll be presenting insights from the survey on understanding perceptions of maternity and childcare benefits in urban workplaces. This data was gathered as a part of my research project. 221 respondents answered the questionnaire, and out of them, 56.6% were males and 42.5% of the respondents were female. This reflects real experiences and opinions from employees across government and private sectors. The goal is to identify existing gaps and highlight opportunities for making workplaces more inclusive for parents, especially mothers. A large majority of respondents have either availed maternity leave themselves or observed someone else doing so. Encouragingly, most said that there was no expectation to remain available during leave. This suggests some respect for boundaries. However, over 60% felt that the maternity leave impacts how women's performance or promotion potential is perceived, indicating a persistent bias. There were also reports of informal pressures such as team dynamics or timing maternity leaves around work cycles, which shows that even if formal policies exist, culture still plays a key role. One of the more striking findings was the lack of childcare support in most workplaces. Only a small portion reported having multiple forms of support, such as remote work, flexible hours, or access to creches. When it comes to workload management during maternity leave, there is no consistent approach. Many said tasks were reassigned without a strategy or unfairly burdened other colleagues. This inconsistency affects team morale and can shape attitudes towards future parental leave requests. There was an overwhelming support for shared parental leave across respondents. Most agreed that when parental responsibilities are shared, workplaces become more equitable. It helps reduce the perception that caregiving is only a woman's role and shifts the cultural expectations. Extending leaves to all genders also helps reduce gender bias in promotions and reduces resentment in team dynamics when only one gender is seen as stepping away. Based on the feedback, here are a few actionable recommendations. First, we must codify policies for maternity, paternity, and shared parental leaves so there's clarity. Second, consider introducing or expanding childcare support. Even basic flexibility can make a big difference. Third, create structured reintegration programs for returning employees. Mentorship, flexible workload, and check ins go a long way. Finally, fostering a culture of open communication around caregiving responsibilities so that parental leave does not come with guilt or professional setbacks. Together, these steps can help make our workplaces truly inclusive and equitable for all.
I think the reaching out to the employers association, like uh, FICCI and SHM is also very important, and especially the Fortune 500 companies and corporate this thing, and also gender sensitization on this issue of childcare. That is one. And again, like instead of male and female, she should use men and women in her research. The 211 persons whom she has interviewed. But I think the burden should not be only on the families, men and women. So culture is not the only thing. Even systems and structures within the employment organizations, they also need to be addressed. That means decision makers in the uh, uh, employment places, enterprises, and uh, public and private sector enterprises are also very important. So they also need not to see women as burden, or not to see mothers as burden, not to see childcare as a burden to the economics of the empire, no? Because the now even so many chief ministers in the southern states are asking women to produce more babies, no? We saw Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, we saw Mr. Stalin. And they are asking women to produce more babies. Unless you create support system for women and highly competent women also, we are losing out in terms of, as the World Economic Forum Gender Equality Report talks about, that you can't, after putting in so many 15, 17 years of education and training, if the talents are not utilized for nation building, uh, country is the loser. No? So I think that message should go even to the employers. Employers Association also should be reached out. So in recommendations, she should even write that. It should be there on the agenda of the Employers Association. State can take, ministry can take initiative, National Commission for Women, State Commission for Women can take initiative, and these organizations or the NGOs can also take initiative. Yeah. So it's a good, very good.
Thank you for sharing your insights, ma'am. And I hope Antraji also finds them just as valuable. We sincerely thank all our fellows for presenting their work today. I now request Vibhuti ma'am to kindly share the closing remarks for today's session.
I think the closing remark for the whole 8 days, I think we have got a very holistic understanding of women's life worlds, their collective efforts, individual efforts, how they have brought systemic and structural changes, legislative changes, and also some of the transformative processes that came into momentum, no? Which got momentum, as I think today's valedictory address also pointed out. So these are the gains of this course, and it has also reflected in the projects which you have taken up. I think very extremely powerful verses of poetry, and also the research project has showed that all of us are on the same wavelength of sensitivity and sensitivity. And I have really learned a lot from this 8 days of our interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, I proceed to the formal vote of thanks as we come to the end of day 8 of Law and Public Policy Youth Fellowship, Cohort 5.0, an online national summer school program, a 3-month immersive online law and public policy awareness, certificate training course, and internship program. I, Anshu Saroha, a researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, would like to propose the formal vote of thanks on behalf of IMPRI, New Delhi. We extend our sincere gratitude to Professor Vibhuti Patelji and Ms. Amarjeet Kaurji for sharing their valuable insights and taking the time to guide us through today's session of this online certificate program. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to all the experts who have joined us throughout the fellowship and shared their valuable insights. Your contributions have deeply enriched our learning journey. We thank all of our participants who have raised pertinent questions and actively participated in today's deliberation. A gentle reminder to all our fellows, your research essay draft is due on August 5, 2025. Please ensure timely submission, and we look forward to reading your work and seeing you all in IMPRI's future events as well. We are grateful if you're watching us later on YouTube or listening to us on various podcasts or reading our publications. We hope you continue to join us in future for our IMPRI Web Policy Talk and Web Policy Learning. Wishing you a very good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshu, for
such
a beautiful way of moderating seriously. And also Priyanka ji for your hard work and doing so much of preparatory work as well as guiding the fellows throughout the sessions.
Thank you so much, ma'am.